had no water for 6 months. Just struggling, not having no water, being able to give my child a shower and have drinking water to be able to drink has been a rough time, really bad. And he's only 12 years old.
Did you at that time put a lock on the water of any kind?
No.
Did you contact the city of Longview and tell them to turn the water off?
No.
So that was the city's decision to turn off the water.
The water was shut off, but there was water usage. It was turned off because nobody had signed up for service.
You should have a microphone that's red. If you could touch that and unmute yourself. There we go. Can you hear us all right? Ms. Grubb?
Hi, sorry, I can hear you now.
Okay, very good. So we're here in 262-41808. I'm Judge Bashor. Before we get started, I just wanted to put on the record, in case anybody has any issues, this case was originally started, it looks like, by Mr. Madsen through Timberland Legal Services. My wife is the executive director of that agency. I typically don't share those cases. I don't have any mandatory recusals. And if the parties are uncomfortable with me hearing it, I will defer to have another judge hear it, but I want to put that on the record.
I don't have any problem with Your Honor hearing the case.
Okay. Ms. Grubb, any objection to me hearing the case?
No, my new lawyer was supposed to come to the case, I guess, for this hearing, because I got a lawyer for this.
Who is that?
It's supposed to be Tacoma lawyers.
Your Honor,
Tacoma pro bono.
she had an attorney appear in a separate eviction action that is set.
I have two different lawyers, Your Honor.
Okay, in this case, the only one I had was Mr. Madsen, who has withdrawn.
Yeah, I got a case with the Tacoma pro bonos. Yeah, he was supposed to talk to me prior to this case, just before we went on. I don't know what happened with that.
Okay.
And I haven't heard anything on that, Your Honor. I haven't received a notice of appearance.
Okay, and I haven't heard anything from anybody. No one's contacted the court. I'm familiar with that office, but
If I may say something, Your Honor, can we continue this after I talk to my lawyer?
well, we were set for trial today. This was set just a few, 2 weeks ago? A week ago?
Readiness was last week, Your Honor. It was set before
Prior to
then.
that. Okay. So I don't know, Ms. Kazimir, what's your position on a continuance on the matter?
We would strongly object, Your Honor. There's this is a pretty straightforward issue, and we've got a city employee here that we've subpoenaed taking her time away from her work to testify here today. It's been set for trial for some time. Ms. Grubb filed this action some time ago. Her attorney withdrew some time ago. She's had plenty of time to obtain new counsel before today's date, and apparently chose to do so a week before trial. So we would like to proceed today. I think this needs to get taken care of.
And so I think that's where we're at this point.
If I may, Your Honor, I just got this attorney. They just haven't contacted me, but I contacted them and talked to them, and they told me that they were gonna set everything up to talk to you guys today. I guess I don't know what happened to that. I'll have to call them. It took 2 weeks to get a hold of them.
Okay. Well, they haven't contacted the court, and they haven't contacted apparently Ms. Casimir's office. This was
it's the Tacoma pro bono, I think. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get it. This. You may have another eviction case going, which is not this case, and that may be what.
No, I have another lawyer for this one. I don't know. I just got them through Northwest Justice. Referred me over to them.
Okay. Well, my problem in this thing was set for trial, looks like back at the end of July, so about 20 days ago. My concern is we've got an injunction that's in this case, and continuing that on. Let me see here. Am I understanding that the specific injunction was really turn the water on? Is that?
Yeah, the issue in this case is essentially that she's claiming the water was turned off. The injunction required the landlord to direct the city to turn the water back on.
Okay.
And if I may say, Your Honor, last Tuesday it got turned off again. I have no water again.
Well, that's interesting. Do we know why?
Wait.
Because she won't transfer it into my name so I can pay the bill.
Your Honor, that's essentially the issue here today. Non-payment of the water bill and whether that water was intentionally cut off by the landlord or not. So that, I mean, that's really the issue that this trial is about.
Okay. So what happened to get the water turned? I guess that's
Bill
concerning.
exceeds $1,400 at this point. Ms. Grubb has made no payments on the water bill since January.
Okay. But wasn't the city or your client directed to get that turned on?
My client was told to direct the city to turn the water on. It was turned back on after the injunction was entered, and my understanding, which Ms. Fleming is here to testify about, is that the city both times turned it off for non-payment.
Okay, well, that raises other issues. In case we can go ahead and go forward, but I think that's a problem. It's not complying with the injunction.
Well, the injunction specifically says direct the city to turn it back on. If the city refuses to do that, my client has no control over that.
Well, that may be arguable. That's probably not a very strong defense to violation of an injunction. But we can go ahead and move ahead here. So, Ms. Grubb, I know you had an attorney who drafted this up. Do you have any testimony that you wish to present on behalf of this case, ma'am?
I paid
Okay, well,
the water
hold on
bill.
a second there.
Oh.
If I can have you raise your right hand for me, please.
Oh.
And ma'am, you promise to tell the truth today under penalty of perjury.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, and you are Janice Grubb?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Grubb, if you want to go ahead and tell me what's going on in your case.
I paid rent up until January until my landlord had my water turned off. I went to the water company to try to get it transferred into my name, and they wouldn't transfer it in my name without a lease. Because she's trying to say I forged a letter that her secretary asked me to come pick up, and I have text messages showing that she asked me to come pick up the letter. And now she's saying I forged a letter to get my water put in my name, and that's ridiculous. And so they still wouldn't put it in my name, and I had no water for 6 months. And then it went to the exceed of whatever they're saying it is, of how much it is. I don't see how when I had no water. And then the judge ordered it to be turned back on, and then this last Tuesday it got turned off again. And I think she came and turned it off herself, because the guy that came out and turned my water back on told me it was kind of weird when he opened the water thing and there was a lock on my emergency side and not their side. So I'm trying to figure out what to do about that, because I mean, he said that's not normal for it to be locked on my side, on the emergency side. For a pipe burst in my house, I can fix it or whatever. It would have been locked on their side.
And Your Honor, I would object as to hearsay.
Well, I'll sustain on that. Can't tell me about what other people have told you on the case, other than that Ms. Soto is a party to the case. So I will strike that last comment about what the water folks said. Anything else, ma'am?
Just all I was trying to do was get a lease so I can be able to live here. I was paying my bills up until January. Everything was paid. I had no problem with paying my bills. She said I didn't make enough to live here, but my bills were paid. I don't see the problem. I really don't, is all I can say.
Okay. Ms. Kazmar, any questions that you have?
Yes. So, Ms. Grubb, is it your testimony then that that you have not had water service to the home since January?
Yes.
But you also testified that the water was just turned back off. So was there water service restored at some point?
It got turned back on in June.
And how did that occur?
Yeah, it was court ordered to be turned back on in June. And then
Your Honor, there appears to be someone in the room with Ms. Grubb telling her what to say. I'd ask that.
Sorry, it's my boyfriend. He's been here through all this too. My apologies.
Okay. So he'll need to exit the room, ma'am. It just needs
Okay.
to be just you,
Sorry.
and he.
Sorry. He left.
If you want to call him as a witness, you can do that, but that's a separate issue. But I need to have
Okay.
you just testify from yourself at this point.
My
Go ahead.
apologies.
It's okay. Ms. Kazma?
Okay, so your testimony is that the water was turned back on in June after the injunction was entered?
Well, when the judge told us that it needed to be turned back on, it got turned back on that day that the judge said to turn it back on. I called and they turned it on they came out and turned it on like the next day or two after the judge said that.
And then what day was that water turned off again?
Just this last Tuesday.
And so from January to June, your testimony is that you did not have any water service?
No, I did not.
I have no further questions.
All right. Anything additional, ma'am?
No, just struggling, not having no water, being able to give my child a shower and have drinking water to be able to drink. It's been a rough time, really bad. And it makes it hard on my son, and he's only 12 years old.
And ma'am, did you have any additional witnesses you wish to call?
My boyfriend, if I may.
If you want to call him, you can do that, and you'll need to be on camera, and you'll have to ask him questions. He can't just tell me his story. So you'll need to ask. You don't have him come back.
Yeah. Just 1 second. Right. Just a second. Sorry. He's coming. He's got to get a shirt on.
Okay.
He's coming right now.
Okay.
I have to ask him questions.
You will, yeah. And I'll need to have him on camera.
Okay.
All
Hello.
right, good afternoon, sir. If I can have you raise your right hand for me, please. And you promise to tell the truth today under penalty of perjury.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me your name, sir?
Joseph Burley, the third.
And if you could spell your last name for the record.
Burley.
Thank you. And ma'am, did you have some specific questions you wanted to ask of Mr. Burley?
Yeah. Was our water turned off in January to the time that it got turned back on in June?
Yeah, it was.
And when did our water get turned off again?
Last Tuesday. And from my understanding, when I guess the bill was due in January or whatever, as far as we know, our old roommate paid the water bill, and it was like $186 or whatever, and then it was turned off for, like I said, 6 months, and then all of a sudden it's $1,100 bill now, which don't make no sense.
Okay. All right, boy, did you need to have you answer questions, sir?
Yeah.
Anything else, ma'am?
No.
Cross-examination?
I have no questions for this witness.
All right. Thank you, sir. That's all we need from you today. Any additional witnesses, ma'am?
Not here with me today, no.
Okay. All right, then Ms. Kazmaier.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Sheila Soto. That's my first witness.
So, Ms. Soto, if I could have you get your camera facing you so we can see you. All right, if you could raise your right hand for me, please, ma'am. And you promise to tell the truth today under penalty of perjury.
Yes.
And if you could tell us your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Sheila Soto, Soto.
Thank you. Counsel.
Thank you. Ms. Soto, do you manage the property located at 249 Oregon Way?
Yes.
And do you do that on behalf of the owner, James Marsh?
Yes.
Okay. And in December or January, did you go out to the property and turn the water off?
No.
Did you at that time put a lock on the water of any kind?
No.
Did you contact the city of Longview and tell them to turn the water off?
No.
Okay. When is it your understanding that there was water service to the property from January to approximately March?
Yes, I believe so.
And did you in June, or excuse me, did you at any time in August this month go out to the property and put a lock on the water services?
No.
Did you in August of this year contact the city and request that they shut the water off?
No.
Okay. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Grubb, any questions you have of this witness?
As far as I can say is, I wanted to see or ask why sorry, I'm new to all this, so did you ask the water company or tell the water company that we forged a letter?
Did I? Sorry, go ahead, Meg.
I'm going to object as to relevance. The issues are whether landlord intentionally cut off water.
Well, I think that has some limited relevance. I'll let her answer the question.
No.
There's evidence that from the water company saying that she said that we forged it.
I'm going to object.
So you just need to ask questions, ma'am. You're not testifying, so you just need to ask her questions.
Did you ask the water company to come out and turn our water off?
No.
I don't have any more questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Any additional witnesses?
Oh,
Any additional witnesses?
sorry, Your Honor. Yes, I'll call Miss Fleming at this point. Diamond.
And Ms. Fleming, if you could unmute yourself.
The camera will take a little bit to register there.
There we go. All right, ma'am. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
All right. If I could have you raise your right hand for me, please. And you promise to tell the truth today under penalty of perjury.
Yes.
All right. And can you tell me your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Diamond Fleming. It's Fleming.
Thank you. Counsel.
Morning, Miss Fleming, or good afternoon, excuse me. Can you tell me where you're currently employed?
The city of Longview,
And what department do you work in?
the finance department.
Okay. Do you handle utility counts as a normal part of your job?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the utilities account for the property located at 249 Oregon Way?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me if the water was shut, if water services were shut off to the premises in January of 2026?
Correct.
Were services actually terminated, or was water continued to be provided?
So appears to be somebody must have turned it on. So there was extra water usage after we had turned it off.
And why was it turned off?
It was turned off because nobody had signed up for service.
Okay. And was that because the prior tenant at the residence had requested a disconnect?
Yes.
Okay. And when was the water shut off again in March?
Yes, it was shut off again for non-payment of the water used.
Okay. And when did the landlord or Miss Soto direct you at that time to shut the water off?
No.
So that was the city's decision to turn off the water.
Yes.
Okay. And then in June, after this court entered an injunction, was the water turned back on?
The water was turned back on 5/26.
Okay. And do you know how that occurred?
It was after hours. So I believe it's not noted who called, but someone called our after hours saying that they had a court order that we were required to turn the water back on.
Okay. And so after, sorry, go ahead.
The after hours dispatch turned it back on for them.
And did water service remain active until last week sometime?
Yes.
Okay, and why was it shut off last week?
Because after we had turned it on, you have to wait a certain number of days before you can notify by mail of a shut off legally. So we had to wait for the timing process that it could go through to shut it off for non-pay again.
Okay, so it was ultimately shut off due to continued non-payment.
Yes.
Do you have to be the account holder to make a payment on a utilities account?
No.
And has the city received any payment from Ms. Grubb on this account at any time between January and now?
That wasn't something I was supposed to look up. So I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
From what I can recall, no, but there's a long history of a lot of months. So without looking at the actual ledger, I can't tell you right now.
Okay, that's fine. At any time, did Sheila Soto tell the city to turn off the water?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Can I ask one clarification question?
Yes.
Ms. Fleming, I assume that you sent a letter to somebody about a shut off. Who would that have been sent to?
That would be all within the account. So that would have been mailed to the owner. I believe the owner's listed in care of Sheila Soto. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, thank you. Did it raise any additional questions?
No.
And I may be a little left over here. Ms. Grubb, any questions you have? Ms. Fleming?
Yeah. Excuse me. Hi, good afternoon. I just wanted to ask, what was I going to say? Did Sheila call or email you guys and tell you guys that I forged a letter that she wrote?
I know nothing about any forging, no.
Because it's in text messages on paperwork.
Just ask her questions.
That wouldn't really pertain to anything that I would have any say over.
Ma'am, that wasn't a question. That's not a question before you, ma'am. Please wait for another question, please.
How was the water turned on in March or whatever, and it was turned off again recently, but we didn't have water for 6 months? How is it possible to have no water for 6 months, excuse me, and then the water's turned back on in March? That makes no sense to me.
Well, we don't have any record of turning it on ourselves. So the meter is on the property. It wasn't turned on by the city of Longview, but it did have water usage that we had to bill for.
How would it have had water usage if it was locked and turned off on the emergency side?
It wasn't locked in January. It was locked at a later date.
I object to that because there was a lock on it.
So you just ask questions, ma'am. This is just questions of this witness.
I don't know what else to ask. I'm new to this stuff.
I understand.
I'm good,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Kazmaier, any redirect?
Just to clarify kind of the issues. So Ms. Fleming, in January, your testimony is that the city did shut the water off, correct? And that someone, and you don't have any record of who, turned the water back on, and so there was usage that the city had to bill for. Is that correct?
Right.
And then later in March, it was turned off for non-payment of that bill.
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Grubb, did you have any rebuttal witnesses or rebuttal testimony that you wanted to give at this time? You're still muted, ma'am. I can't hear you.
That my water was off for 6 months and it wasn't turned back on in March, and that we never messed with the water at all. The only time the water got turned back on is when the city came out and turned it back on and cut the lock that I have right here.
Yeah, I'll object to that, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection to the last comment. Or anything else, ma'am?
No, this is all ridiculous. And I wish we had water because I would have paid the water, but she wouldn't let me transfer it in my name, and the city told me I couldn't pay it without it having a lease in my name.
Does that raise any questions, Ms. Kathmeyer, on rebuttal?
Did you ever go to the city of Longview and attempt to make a payment on the bill?
It was under my friend Tasha's name still when she was still living here.
Okay,
And she paid the last bill until up until January, and then Sheila wouldn't give me a lease to transfer it into my name, and that's when it got turned off.
okay, so two separate issues. So did you attempt to have the water put into your name?
Yes.
And that ultimately did not happen, correct?
No, because she won't give me a lease.
Okay. Did you, after that time, attempt to go to the city and make a payment on the utility bill for the property?
They told me I couldn't because it wasn't in my name.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
They said the account was closed.
Okay. Anything else, ma'am? Okay. All right. So this is any argument at this point?
If I could just briefly, Your Honor.
Sure.
This action is filed under 5918-300, which states that a landlord cannot intentionally cause the termination of utility services to the property. In this case, we have Ms. Fleming testifying that the water was shut off in January due to a disconnect request from the prior tenant, that Ms. Grubb was unable to transfer the utilities into her own name. Water was turned back on. Ms. Grubb failed to make any payments on that account. Ms. Fleming has testified that you don't have to be the account holder to make a payment on the account. I think that it's clear that she could have gone at any time to make a payment on the account. Ms. Fleming's also testified that at no time did Ms. Soto tell the city to turn it off, request that the city turn the water off. Once the injunction was entered, the city turned the water back on, and ultimately, per their policies, turned it back off for non-payment last week. And again, testified that Ms. Soto did not direct them to turn it off. So we would ask that Your Honor dismiss this action. I will note there is $1,100 in the registry that Ms. Grubb paid into the registry some time ago. We would ask that that be released to the landlord to pay to the city to cover at least a portion of, if not all of the bill at this time.
Ms. Grubb, any comments you'd like to make at this time with regards to the outcome of the case?
I don't think I should have to pay for water that was off. I really don't. I mean, I didn't have no water for 6 months. It was ridiculous. We couldn't shower. We couldn't drink water. I mean, my poor child couldn't even take a shower for school. We went across the street to go to the trailer dump thing just to get water and almost got arrested because they say we're not trailers and we can't go over there and get free water just to dump our toilet. And it's ridiculous that this is even happening right now, is all I can say. It's just been a struggle really bad. And I tried to talk to the city about even putting it in my name, going and paying it. And they told me the account is closed. Nobody can pay it. Nobody can do nothing. They closed out the account. Sheila closed out the account. Sorry.
Your Honor, I object to any new testimony that wasn't brought up during her testimony.
I'll sustain that with regards to that. Curious, I see there's some money sitting in the clerk's account. I don't know why that's there.
It was deposited as a show of good faith during settlement negotiations, Your Honor. We're just simply asking that that money be basically paid to the city, whether that happens through landlord or directly to the city.
I don't know that I have any jurisdiction to do that, unless there was some agreement to that effect. I just have an agreement for money deposited in the clerk's account.
I can always get the money out and pay it myself if that's the case.
And there was no order put anything into the account, so and that's something that was between the parties.
It was an attempt. It was deposited as a potential rent payment in we were considering settlement. It was deposited as a show of good faith when Mr. Madsen was on the case.
Well, I don't know that I can consider these settlement negotiations as part of the case. This is an interesting case because reading back through and trying to figure out what we were on for today, there was an argument about Ms. Soto not being a proper party. Review of the statute. She under the definition of landlord, she is a landlord under the definition of RCW 5918. Excuse me, 030, I believe it is.
Yes.
So she's a proper person as a defendant in the case. The relief that was requested in the case was finding Ms. Scrub to be a tenant. It would seem to me, based on the research that I've done and looking through the statute, she is a tenant, but not under the Real Estate Landlord Tenant Act. She would be a tenant at will, essentially, but she doesn't fit the definition of a tenant under 5918.03.034, which requires to be under a rental agreement. So we don't have a rental agreement here, at least between. And that's one of the issues. If we had one, we probably wouldn't be here, but we don't. So I don't think she qualifies as a tenant under that statute. I am concerned about the injunction issue because the language of the injunction was that the landlord or defendant, essentially Ms. Soto, would be direct the city to restore water service, which it sounds like that was done. From what we heard today, that the letter that would have noted a termination would not have gone to Ms. Grubb, it would have gone to Ms. Soto. And I guess that's concerning to me because that's allowing this to lapse, which is very similar to not keeping it restored. So that's a bit problematic. But I don't think under the basis of a tenant at will that I could order an ongoing injunction. So I'm going to deny that. And under the loss and suffering, I think I have to get into one of these other two before I can get there. There were discussions from what I could see and from what I saw in the text messaging that was provided. It wasn't actually introduced into evidence, but the only agreement was that they were going to consider an application to become a tenant, which apparently wasn't accepted. So I can't find a breach of contract, and I don't know that I can really do anything with a third claim either. So I'm going to deny relief under those three claims. I'm not going to order that the money in trust be paid to anybody. If there's any claims for damages or something, that's probably needs to be a small claims or something else. But that at this point, that was money put into trust on as part of some settlement negotiations that this court's not party to. Didn't order that, and it's obviously at this point still Ms. Grubb's money. So, but I will dismiss the case at this point.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you want me to prepare an order?
I think I'm going to save everybody some money. I'll just do a bench order that denies the request and dismisses the case. I think that's probably effective and saves everybody a lot of extra work. And then you folks are going to have to sort out all the rest of this outside of here. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. You're welcome.
Ms. Grubb, you're muted.
Ms. Grubb, did you have anything else you wanted to tell me?
Yeah. Is there any way I can get my water turned back on? Because I didn't get no notice on my door that my water was getting turned off either.
Okay. Well, at this point, you're not a tenant of that property under the Landlord Tenant Act. I don't have a basis to order that going forward.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to work with Ms. Soto if they want to turn into a tenancy. You can talk with them and their counsel. If they don't want to do that, then you'll have other decisions to make.
Okay.
I'm not ordering you to turn over that money, so that money's yours. Come to the clerk's office and give it back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'll do an order dismissing.